Tell me about a time you had a conflict at work and how you resolved it. This question offers a great chance to demonstrate your ability to handle difficult situations, communicate effectively, and find solutions. But it can be challenging to convey these skills effectively to the interviewer. That's why today we're going to tackle this interview question head on, really get stuck into how to impress the interviewer with our knowledge, our skills, and our experience. In this video, I'm going to reveal to you the perfect way to structure your answer in just 5 easy, straightforward steps. I will also share with you the 7 most common mistakes candidates make so you can avoid them. Many people struggle choosing what to talk about when answering this question, so I'm going to give you 3 things to think about when picking a story from your experience. And then finally, we'll combine everything we've learned into one game-changing example answer. If you hate the sound of my voice, you should check out the show notes for a link to a text article on this topic. Other than that, let's begin. We are going to start off with answer structure and the 5 steps to take to construct the perfect response. These type of questions, often called competency-based questions, are all about sharing your experience with the interviewer. The interviewer wants to hear what you did, how you did it, and maybe most important of all, why you did it. In order to achieve this, your answer needs to be well structured. You need to ensure that you hit all the key points that you want the interviewer to hear in a logical order, while also avoiding the urge to ramble on. The best way to pull this off is by using the B-star method. Using this method, you will split your answer into 5 parts. The first is the B, which stands for belief. You want to begin your response by sharing your thoughts and feelings regarding the subject matter. This helps set the stage for your answer and demonstrate your personal connection to the topic. If this doesn't make much sense to you, don't worry, our example answer will be using this structure later in this video. Next up, we have S for situation. Briefly describe the context or background of the scenario in which your actions took place. This provides the interviewer with an understanding of the circumstances surrounding your experience. Remember, it's essential to keep this part concise, as the primary focus should be on your actions and the results. Just give the interviewer the quick who, what, where, when, and why. Following the situation, we have T for task. Explain your specific role and responsibilities in the situation. Up next, we have the most important section, and that is A for action, or activity if you prefer. Describe the steps you took to achieve the desired outcome, and explain the rationale behind your actions. This part of your answer should be the most detailed, as it shows the interviewer just what you are capable of doing. And finally, we have R for the results. Conclude your response with the results of your actions, using figures or quantifiable outcomes wherever possible. This will demonstrate to the interviewer the impact of your efforts and your ability to deliver tangible results in your role. This is also where you could share any lessons you learned from the experience. So now you know the ideal structure to use when answering this question. Next up, you need to pick the best example from your experience to tell the interviewer. Later on, I will share 3 tips for picking the perfect example, but for now, let's look at some of the most common mistakes candidates make when addressing this question. Firstly, do not avoid the question. Everyone experiences conflict at work at some point. Avoiding the question can suggest you're unwilling to confront or resolve such issues, whereas interviewers are looking for your conflict resolution skills. Do not downplay the situation. If you make a work conflict seem minor, it might appear you don't recognize the impact of conflicts or that you're not skilled at handling challenging interpersonal dynamics. Do not overhype the situation. Overemphasizing the severity of the conflict can suggest you're prone to creating drama or unable to maintain a professional perspective in tense situations. Do not give a one-sentence answer. A brief answer can suggest a lack of depth in your understanding and handling of workplace conflicts. Interviewers are looking for thoughtful, reflective responses that demonstrate your conflict resolution skills. Do not overly describe the scenario and miss the action. Spending too much time detailing the conflict without focusing on how you resolved it can miss the point. Your response should highlight your role in effectively resolving the issue. Do not have a passive role in the situation. Similar to the previous answer, If your response shows you were passive during the conflict, it may indicate a lack of assertiveness or problem-solving skills, which are crucial in resolving workplace disputes. And finally, do not forget to mention what you learned. The key part of this question is what you learned from handling the conflict. Not discussing this can suggest you missed an opportunity for personal and professional growth in the workplace. So, we've explored how to construct our response, and we've also looked at pitfalls to avoid when answering this question. Next, let's delve into selecting the most effective example to use in our answer. Think about the following points when you're coming up with stories from your experience to tell the interviewer. The first thing your answer should have is a positive outcome. Choose an example that can only be described as a success driven by you and one which you can use to showcase the benefits of your actions. This is not to say you can't have taken lessons away from the venture, and it is always good to talk about how you would improve upon your actions in the future, but the underlying situation should be resolved successfully when you are outlining your answer. The second thing your example should be is relevant to the job you are applying for. Choose an example that is closely related to the job you're applying for. An example that is from the same industry or sector would be the most preferable. A good trick here would be to learn what upcoming work your new team has in the pipeline and use examples from your past that are relevant to that work. And finally, your example should represent a challenge. Look for examples where you faced a significant challenge or problem and were able to resolve it effectively. Put simply, you are trying to impress the interviewer. Make sure your example isn't some run-of-the-mill situation that anybody could have fixed. Pick an example which shows that only you had the skills or know-how to get the job done. Now, let's put everything we have learned together and see a B-star example in action. Again, the question being answered is, tell me about the time you had a conflict at work and how you resolved it. I've always believed that conflict, if handled constructively, can lead to growth and better understanding within a team. Last year, my team was working on a crucial project with a tight deadline. A disagreement arose between myself and a colleague over the project's direction, which threatened to derail our progress. As the project lead, it was my responsibility to ensure we stayed on track without compromising team harmony. I initiated a meeting with my colleague to understand his perspective better. We both presented our views and, realizing the validity in each other's points, we combined our ideas. This approach not only resolved the conflict but also improved our project plan. I also facilitated a team meeting to ensure everyone was on board and address any underlying concerns. As a result, we not only met our deadline but also delivered a more robust product. The project was praised by our client, leading to a 20% increase in customer satisfaction scores. This experience strengthened our team's collaboration skills and set a precedent for constructive conflict resolution in future projects. Alright then, that wraps up our analysis of this interview question. I hope by watching this video you will be more prepared for this question in your next interview. Speaking of being prepared, if there are any other interview questions you struggle with, let me know in the comments and we will tackle that question in our very next video. Until then, I hope your next interview is a success. Take care and goodbye from me.